Hey everyone, this is episode number 6 of the StokedOnPlants podcast. I'm Paul Castro Jr. Thank y'all for sticking around, watching, listening, and doing all that good stuff on all the podcast platforms. If you haven't, go to StokedOnPlants.com. Sign up for the newsletter. You can get all the updates on when I post new episodes, when they're live, and just know anything you need to know about me. So today, if you're listening in the car, and you can't see who it is already, I've got a very, very good friend and special guest with me who I will introduce in 1 second, actually, because I want to give you guys some information about a couple guests I've got coming up in the next couple of days. So I keep saying the podcast is picking up steam, and we've got 3 people who are fairly large influencers on, I would say they're pretty big influencers in the vegan community. One is Vegan Eats NYC. The other is the Chocolate Vegan, and then Meg Josephson. They're all going to be on between now and I think December 10th. So I don't know the dates, but keep an eye out for when those are going to be on live on YouTube and the iTunes podcast. I don't ever know if it's like iTunes podcast or if it's Apple. It's just called podcast on your phone. So you can find the episode there. But today I've got a very good friend, I guess you're my boss, right?
Of sorts.
Yeah, of sorts. Great friend, amazing filmmaker, wonderful human being, Guido. Thank you for coming and doing this with me. I know it's eating into our productive work schedule for everything we need to do for a project he is directing and producing called Madonna and the Breakfast Club. You guys have probably heard me talk about this in previous episodes. If you have zero idea about the film industry, this has been a labor of love for him, something that we've been making for about 3 years, which sounds crazy to some people, but it's like, this seems normal for us after we've worked our butts to the core, I would say.
Yeah, and, you wonder, like, when you're first diving in, like, if like, offhand it's going to be 3 years, would you still embark on it? And probably would have, but when you don't know that up front, it doesn't seem as daunting. Yeah. And you think, oh, yeah, sure, like maybe like a year from now we'll be like, the movie's going to be ready to come out.
Yeah.
But another year.
Yeah. I would say that when we first started, and I'll circle back and I'll get to the beginning of everything, but when I first came on board, so Guy and our cinematographer, Jason Montalvo, had already shot, I would say, couple months or almost a year's worth of stuff, right?
Yeah, we did a lot of the interview stuff with the real life subjects of the film. It's a documentary, so we tell it through the real life subjects, and then we do reenactments and a lot of archival stuff. But we filmed a few of the real subjects before we got into the reenactment stuff, which is when you came on board. So
you to give you a quick brief on what the film is about, like you said, it follows Madonna. I don't know if you guys know who Madonna is, but she's a fairly successful pop star. And it's her early career in the late 70s, early 80s when she was in a band called The Breakfast Club. And obviously we can go into more detail about that. We probably will. But the interviewers who you did prior were band members from The Breakfast Club. I think you did Dan, Ed Gilroy, the Gilroy brothers, Gary Burke, and Norris and Martin Schreiber you did, and Peter Kentes.
Yes. Yeah. You came on, I think because you were there for at least an interview.
I was there for
Freddie Bastone.
And who else was I there for? Stephen Lewicki. And one more, I feel like.
Stephen Lewicki did Madonna's very, very first film. He was a student filmmaker. Just for a little background.
Yes, A Certain Sacrifice, which you should watch if you're a fan of Madonna, and then you should watch our film and see how it plays into it. And I think you'll appreciate it a lot more if you have that context. So I guess let's start at the beginning, because there's going to be people here who have zero context. I've been getting a lot of people who are just pure vegans, and obviously we'll talk about your relationship with veganism, how it came into your life, how it's a part of your life or not, and how just because what I like to do with this show is, it's not, because you never know when someone's going to pop in and listen to one episode. This show is not just your run-of-the-mill veganism type of podcast. I like to talk to people who are normal people every day doing different things. I happen to be in the film and entertainment industry, so I get a lot of those people who are going to be on here. And it's a fun way of incorporating just real life and not just kind of the the dark side of what veganism is, you know, the horrors that go on in the animal industry, and kind of, you know, while I am advocating for that, I want to bring personality to the vegan community. And so I think that's what this podcast is becoming. So, Guy, I guess let's start right at the beginning. You grew up, I think you grew up in Long Island, right? You lived there almost your whole life.
Yeah,
I know.
I was born in Brooklyn, in Bensonhurst, Brooklyn.
You knew I was born in Brooklyn, right?
Where? What part?
Sheepshead Bay, Garrettson Beach.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I lived there till I was 7.
You what?
7. I moved when I was 7.
Okay. Yeah, I was about the same.
Huh.
To Long Island. You moved to Jersey.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the parents got us out of those boroughs and into the suburbs.
Yeah. I was like, yeah, my parents, same thing. I just moved this closer to you.
Yeah. So yeah, but then I grew up when I was about 7, second grade, moved to Long Island, and grew up in Suffolk County, Comac, home of Rosie O'Donnell.
Yeah.
I didn't know her. Yeah. There was
Not
Comac
yet.
North and Comac South. She was South, we were North. So they were like kind of enemies. Like,
There's that big of a rivalry in Long Island like that?
yeah, like even like just a small town like Comac, there was the North Side or the South Side. So
Huh.
there were like literally like rumbles, fights.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
We had that in my town in Jersey, but I don't know. I guess New York, everything's so big. Jersey's tiny. Well, I guess Long Island's not that big. But I feel like it's just so vast. I feel like are there clear indications of, like, I know for Jersey, if you're either North Jersey or you're South Jersey, and people kind of hate on you if you say you're Central Jersey, which I say I do. But is that the way it is in Long Island?
Yeah. North Shore, South Shore, very different types of people.
What if you're in the middle?
Yeah, I don't know. We've never really had a distinction of the middle. It's pretty cut and dry.
Yeah.
Either
Okay.
North Shore, South Shore. Yeah.
And so Jason is from
He lived, Comac. But
Comac.
He didn't grow up there. I'm not sure where he grew up, but he actually ironically lived, when I met him, him and his fiancée at the time lived in Comac, where I grew up. So that was interesting because I no longer live there, but that's where I went to meet him.
So where, like, when you have a car that's in Long Island still, so where's that stationed?
No, I keep my car in Brooklyn now that I moved to Williamsburg.
Ah,
and it's probably getting
Williamsburg.
confusing because
Yeah.
so I grew up on Long Island. Then in my 20s moved to New York City. I lived in Manhattan since 94.
So how old were you then? No.
Well, I started going to NYU at the time, so that's why I moved into the city. But I was old for someone just entering college. At the time, I thought I was old.
How old were you when you entered NYU?
I think I was 25, which is
Oh.
older, you know, because I just, right out of high school, I started doing hair. I got into the beauty business. And I did that from like 18 to my early 20s. And I decided, you know what, this is great. You know, it's fun. I like it, but I want something more, something, you know, bigger creatively.
Yeah.
And I wanted to go to film school, make movies. And that to me was like the best place to go if you wanted to do that. And, you know, so I actually had dropped out of high school in 12th grade.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So I didn't, you know, getting into NYU, which is very competitive.
Yeah.
It was kind of like slim chances, you know.
More so then than now.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So, you know, I just buckled down. I went to community college, Suffolk County, you know, first. Yeah. Because I knew I just had to do whatever I could do to, you know, to up my chances of getting into NYU. And I just, you know, took some liberal arts courses, just made sure everything was a 4.0. I did any kind of community service I could find and think of and dream up. And, you know, and just busted my butt for about a year and a half. And then I applied to NYU.
So you did Suffolk or Suffolk?
Suffolk. Spelled Suffolk.
So yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Suffolk.
It's Suffolk. So Suffolk. Did you go to Suffolk? I guess, what was it? You were 23 then?
Yeah, about 23.
22.
Yeah.
So we had, like, not necessarily similar, but we had kind of similar, I guess, upbringings in that sense. We both grew up in Brooklyn, moved to the suburbs, both went to NYU. Later in our life, I went when I was 21.
Okay, yeah. Like not right out of high school.
No, so different in the sense that I transferred, but I essentially had to start over again. I did 3 years at a school in Jersey, Long Branch, where you were just telling me where you were for Thanksgiving. So yeah, it's just I didn't realize that. Yeah. And the thing about NYU is, for me, I was like, if I get into NYU, I'll go. But it's not as, and I only went in for drama. I think film school, obviously, I'm curious to know what you had to do to get in for that. But it's like not as, I feel like the weight of a degree is valued less. Like if you have an older degree, it's almost like a rookie card. It's worth more because the degree was harder to come by then, I feel like. It was, I feel like there was more competition and less opportunity. I feel like now at NYU, they've got so many facilities.
Yeah.
They can accommodate so many students.
Right.
And you can basically buy your way in.
Okay.
That's the, I don't know. That's the way I felt about NYU.
Yep.
I felt there was a lot of people who were under-deserving talent-wise. I don't know. I mean, from an arts degree, it's hard to gauge.
Yeah.
But it felt like there was a lot of very well-off people who were there. I don't know. I don't know if that was the case when you went.
I think so, but I guess I looked at that like these are people who could afford to be here because it wasn't cheap, you know. And maybe that's those type of people who seem like they came from families with money.
Yeah.
Again, I thought maybe okay, they can afford to be here. That's why they're here. For me, it was different. Financially, I was already like in my early 20s, so I wasn't with my parents anymore. I was on my own, so I was able to get different kinds of financial aid because I was on my own.
Were you emancipated?
No, but I was in my 20s, so I was over 21.
So they don't count that you're like.
No, they don't look at your parents' income at all.
Oh wow.
So whatever
I did
you
it all
have,
wrong.
Yeah, it almost makes sense for people not to go to school when they're under their parents, because once you're 21 or over, your parents' income doesn't count at all. So whatever you have, that's it. That's all you have. And so I got a lot of financial aid and then scholarship money and to cover everything else. And so I wasn't one of those rich kids, you know.
Yeah, well, neither was I. I was absolutely on the lower end of the spectrum when I went. What did you have to do to get into film school? For me, I had to audition. I had to do like a monologue or 2 monologues, I remember. What did you have to do for film school?
You had to present a film, short film, a video. You know, at the time, video was what you could afford to do.
Yeah.
When I went, you know, there was no, like high-end digital video like we have today. So,
Cassette, 35 millimeter, right?
yeah, you had to, but no one could afford to shoot
35 millimeter
film.
So what would you shoot on?
On like VHS.
VHS, yeah.
VHS in this big gigantic VHS.
I used to have one of those, and I stole it from my parents and made skateboard videos with it. So I that was like my first camera. So that's how did you edit it?
There was an editing dock at Suffolk, but it was literally like 2 VCRs.
Yeah.
Where you would stop one and
you
then press record on the other,
and
then get to the next point and play, record.
Yeah. And so I remember having to do that when I went to eventually, like when I was at Monmouth, I did communications and I did like the film and TV track for a little bit, and that we learned on the mini DVs, you know, the VHS like mini cassettes or whatever those things were, and you had to do it on the deck, like I think, but we edited on Avid, so it was a little different, but. That was my first intro.
Yeah, they didn't have Avid. Or
you had literally your
manually
doing it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Even when I got into NYU and started, there was no Avid yet. It was actually at the tail end of my work there. Avid was coming in. I think my last semester it was available as a course. Digital editing was this new thing. You know, other than that, at NYU we were cutting film on Steambex, which was cut and splice. Yeah. Tape the film back together. Which I can't even imagine when I look at what we do today.
I know, isn't it crazy?
It really is. It's like I
take it for granted.
That. I got to take little frame by frame. You had to open up the tape, cut the frame out, retape. Now how does it work? Oh, yeah. One more frame, open it, cut.
I know, it's insane. Well, at least now you can shoot on 35 millimeter, and then you can get that converted into digital.
Yeah.
Isn't that ridiculous?
Yeah,
I mean, I did a short film where they did that, and I think you can absolutely see the quality difference and the aesthetic, just depending on what the genre of film you're making. Like we did almost like a pseudo-Western crime thriller thing, so it made sense to like shoot on 35 millimeter. I think there's a lot of people who like just want to do it to be like a meme, kind of. Not like a meme, but like to be a hipster almost. Like, I'm shoot on 35 millimeter. It's like, well, it's really expensive and you don't get many takes. Are you sure you want to do that? Yeah. Would you shoot something on 35 millimeter now, you think? Do you have that desire?
To be honest, no. I don't think so. I feel like For me, and it's different for everybody.
Yeah.
Like when I'm watching a movie, yes, I would love for it to look beautiful, and but to me, like, it's about story.
Yeah.
Most importantly.
Yeah.
So, like, if other people value the way it looks, maybe they value that more than I do. I don't know, but I'm never overly impressed. Like, you'll never hear me saying, "My God, it was just gorgeous." I might recognize that.
Yeah.
But it's just not something that resonates deeply
Yeah,
with me.
yeah.
It's the story more than anything. Like, for me, like, if it looks like it's shot on video, but the story's amazing, that's gonna, for me, I enjoy that much more than something that looks amazing.
Yeah.
But I was kind of bored with the story.
Yeah.
And
I think the mastery of cinematography or editing, filmmaking in general, is when you can have all those things be insanely beautiful, but the story is so captivating that you never recognize it.
Mm-hmm.
It just complements it. Unless you're doing like a film specifically to be like visually beautiful.
Right.
I mean, I see like for like Planet Earth stuff.
Yes.
It's like, you don't want to watch that on a VHS cassette tape.
Definitely.
But I think more often than not, people, I think what still drives movies to this day is story.
Yeah.
So I think I agree with you. So when did you went to film school, and I'm assuming this was probably before this. When did is infatuation the right word with Madonna? What's the correct word? Addiction, obsession, liking, fondness?
I guess, like, way back, as a teenager, you could have called it all those things.
Yeah.
All of them. Like, now as an adult, like, I would
Respect.
say, yeah, and interest,
Yeah.
maybe, but the obsession that you would have as a teenager, like with any like music stars,
Sure.
or like your idols, whatever, hanging posters on the wall,
Yeah.
buying all the records and watching them on TV and all that stuff. Yeah, I would say she would be the person that I was most like obsessed with.
Yeah.
And I don't know that everybody has something that they obsess over, whether it be a star or a musician or I don't know.
Mine was Johnny Depp, and it's still to this
Johnny
day.
Depp. Yeah.
And I guess band wise, it was Blink-182.
Yeah.
Different times.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. But I was curious because so like what age would have that been? Was like, did that start?
Probably from 16 to through my early 20s.
And how did you find out about her?
It's funny. Someone just asked this question in one of our fan groups for the film. But so I was 16 at the time. The drinking age was 18 on Long Island, and we only had paper. I feel like I'm like 100 years old.
Well,
back in the I rode my dinosaur to the
get a cup of Joe for a nickel.
Yeah. So back in the time, you didn't have picture licenses. It was just a paper. There was no photo.
Oh,
so,
what?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so it was just a paper with your information, address, date of birth, whatever. So my brother was over 18.
Yeah.
So I would use his ID. It was very easy. So anyway, I was 16, and we would go to this dance club called Images on Long Island, and we heard that what I thought was a band called Madonna performing. It was like, okay, you want to go to Images tonight? Sure, yeah. Some band, Madonna's performing. I don't know who that is, whatever. So we went, and she came out, and I actually did a short film.
Is that what Physical Attraction is based off
Yes.
of? I was going to ask you. Yes. So Guy did a short film called Physical Attraction with actually my cousin is one of the stars in it, Raquel Castro. Did you ever make that available? Is it online? Can people watch it yet? Like, what is
not. The reason it's not, and this is something I'm just procrastinating with, is there's 2 songs in it that are not licensed for distribution other than the film festival circuit.
Yeah, I remember.
I would have to replace those 2 tracks, and it's not something that would be very difficult to do. It's just time going into the studio, writing 2 new songs that we can use, and then once those songs are replaced, we can release it publicly. Yeah.
Now that I'm thinking about it, because this is something we'll get into a little more as well, but I want to try and stay on track as much as possible. We can maybe discuss about that being part of the bonus material for the film, maybe for Madonna and the Breakfast Club. So we're doing our post-production final deliverables right now. We were very, very lucky to, can I say this yet? Yeah. So we were acquired for distribution by The Orchard, which is a distribution company. So they've had films like We the Animals, which just did tremendously throughout the film festival circuit, and it was in theaters. And they're going to be representing our film for domestic sales. and we've already made some foreign international sales. So hopefully sometime later this year, early next year, we'll have an official release date we can say.
Right.
And it'll be available worldwide. So that's going to be really exciting.
Yeah, for sure.
And so if you haven't checked out too, before I get back to this, go to Facebook, Instagram, right? That's kind of the main platforms. Madonna and the Breakfast Club. And then on YouTube, I think it's under yours, Guido. And that's how you can find the trailer for the film, which did very, very well. We were covered in Vogue.
In British Vogue, and in
British Vogue.
in French Vogue, in W Magazine, and Out Magazine, and Daily Mail. A lot of, just everyone sort of picked up on it.
Yeah,
you know?
which is crazy because the thing that people don't see or hear us talk about is we didn't do any press. We didn't hire a publicist. None of that. It was just kind of guys let's release the trailer and see what happens, and because we don't have money to do otherwise.
Yeah, and it was Madonna's 60th birthday, so it seemed like a good time to do it.
Yeah.
So,
and I'm curious if that had an interplay. Obviously it's hard for us to get the statistics of that, but I'm curious. I was obviously smart on our end to do that, regardless. But I'm curious if that drove traffic to us in some way. People were searching her name because it was her birthday.
It's very possible,
yeah, it's possible. So, man, to get back to what you were saying, so physical attraction.
So I met. I actually did meet her that night. So I'm 16 years old. See this performer coming out, doing these couple of songs. She didn't have a full record album out yet. She just had a single deal at the time. So she did this song or two, and I was just fascinated by her, immediately. And after her show, my friend and I were like, maybe we can get her autograph. So we went backstage. There was no stage. It was like the office of the manager of the club. She was back there. That was her dressing room. And so, could we get her autograph, that girl? And so she said, yeah, hang on. And he went in and talked to her, and she came out. And she only had one promotional picture with her to give an autograph. So my friend got that one. And
would you get your chest?
No, I smoked cigarettes at the time for a very short period.
Okay.
When I was a teenager, and so I had a pack of Marlboro Lights, and she signed that.
And you still have that?
Love Madonna. No, because my mother, not knowing why, I had this empty box of cigarettes in my sock drawer for a year, threw it out.
What about your friend? Does he have the picture still? Was it your brother?
No, it was a girlfriend, and she. Actually, I eventually confiscated the picture, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's when I started becoming obsessed and just becoming a huge fan. And they really didn't. They like Madonna. It's just like a pop star, whatever.
Yeah.
Fun to dance to her music, but I was at a different level.
Yeah.
So I had to have that picture. So it was on my wall for a while with all the hundreds of other Madonna pictures.
Yeah.
But then somehow along the line, I lost that too.
Isn't that the worst when you just I have so many pieces of clothing that I've been obsessed with my entire life. My favorite this. And how is that your favorite thing just is the one thing that goes missing? The thing that you're trying so hard to not lose is the thing you lose.
Yeah.
Oh, man. I don't know. There is something in the universe that controls. It's maybe it's a sign that you needed to, I don't know, separate yourself from it or keep better care of things. I don't know what the lesson of that is. But that's crazy. So the short film was, I guess, almost kind of, would you say it's autobiographical?
Yeah. Very. Yeah. Not exactly.
Yeah. There's movie magic done to it.
Yeah, but it sort of shows, what my initial introduction to Madonna was.
Yeah.
And sort of how I feel that she, and this was more metaphorical, how I felt that she sort of influenced my coming out.
Mm-hmm.
So even though it's really played out more literally in the movie, it wasn't really like that for me. But I just feel like me gravitating toward her at the time introduced me to different things outside of the little bubble of Long Island.
Yeah.
And that sort of, snowballed, or maybe it's like a domino effect, led me into coming into New York City because, this is where Madonna must live. And,
that was a part of the mental process?
Yeah, my friend would come in, let's walk around. We're bound to see her. That's it. These suburban kids, you just think that's what she'd be doing.
Yeah.
Just walking around like a music video, And of course, she would want to be our friend when we stumbled upon her.
Exactly. Yeah.
So,
have you ever ran into celebrities just walking around New York? I'm sure you have. Yeah. I've had the weirdest interactions. I remember one time I was longboarding down Little Italy on Marlborough Street because I lived in Chinatown, and I'm on my longboard and there's someone on a bike. So we're parallel to each other, and I do a take, and we're going pretty fast. Like I'm pumping, trying to get home from school, and I look to my left, and it's Jason Segel, from How I Met Your Mother, and I go, Jason Segel, and he just goes, hey. And that was it. And he just drove by. That was like the most kind of monumental of celebrity encounters. Who like would you say was the most memorable?
What's that?
What was the most memorable one that you or influential to you? I guess because I met John Leguizamo. I'm a huge fan of his, and he was shopping with his kid. And I felt like such an asshole, and I interrupted some guy just trying to do his shopping with his kid. But he was very nice and talked with me. So what was the most?
I'm trying to think of someone that I really wanted to see and saw. I don't know. I don't think I've ever seen anyone. Well, Madonna.
Yeah.
Later, probably 5 years ago, maybe.
Really?
Yeah. What's another? I saw Sarah Jessica Parker, Jodie Foster. Mel Gibson. I've seen so many over the years, just in passing.
Just in the wild, though?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Like getting into a cab, or just Sarah Jessica Parker was at a table at a restaurant.
Yeah.
Next hours, Madonna, more recently.
You saw through your binoculars from 12th Story?
So this one's a little embarrassing, but because it's going to make me seem like I'm still, obsessed, but I'm really not.
I'm not! Yeah.
This was one of my favorite stories is Grease.
Yeah.
So one of my favorite movies is Grease. So I love Grease. So the play, the movie, it's just so much fun.
Yeah.
So Madonna's daughter, Lourdes, she went to the School of the Arts here in New York. And she started as Rizzo in Grease. And the show was going up. When I read about it, I'm like, we have to go see this.
Yeah.
So it was a snowstorm, and I sent my husband. I said, listen, I'm at work. Can you please just go wait in line for these tickets? There's going to be a line around the block. Everyone, we're not going to get tickets. Just go. Snowstorm, he goes.
Was that because it was Madonna's daughter in the play?
Well, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
New York City is packed with Madonna fans. They're all going to go for it. So he goes in this blizzard. He's like, I'm here. There's nobody online but me.
Oh, my
in the snow.
God.
So he gets tickets, and we go, and we sit down, very excited. And we open up the thing, and it says the role of Rizzo will be played by
somebody else.
Jane Doe, whatever.
No.
Are you kidding me? So I'm like, forget it. I don't even want to watch it now. So we left. So the next day, we went back, but it was always sold out. But there was some kind of thing where, I don't know, some kind of waiting list or something. But we got online for that the next day. And we ended up, it was kind of like a lottery type of thing.
Yeah.
And we ended up getting amazing seats for the next day. And we were in maybe the fifth row. And we watched the show. And during intermission, I get up to go to the bathroom. And 3 rows behind us, I see Madonna texting. And she has her son next to her. And I'm like, okay. So I go to the bathroom and I text Kevin, my husband. I'm like, look behind you. The blonde lady texting.
That's her.
It's Madonna. And he's like, LOL. I'm like, no, I'm serious.
Yeah.
Just look. So he looks, and sure enough, it was her. So I came back in, and now people were starting to realize that she's there.
Yeah.
And people are starting to lurk around and circle around. And I see this one kid come and sit next to her, because whoever she was with must have got up to go to the bathroom.
Sure.
So this guy sits down next to her and starts talking to her. And she's just looked at him and said, no,
Yeah.
And then the person to the other side of her was like, I'm sorry, you can't, If it was kind of like, if we do this for you, the whole place is going to mob her.
Yeah.
So, anyway, so that was an exciting celebrity sighting.
Wow. But you went there with the intention to see her, and that you did.
Maybe.
Yeah. Well, how was her daughter?
She was great. She was a really good singer. Madonna can sing, I think. Now she can sing a lot better. I think when she started studying to do Evita, because I think that role was a lot more demanding vocally than doing the pop music she was used to doing. So she went into a lot of hardcore lessons at the time, and I think since then you can hear the difference in the way she approaches singing.
Sure.
And that was 96. So, but Lourdes, from now, she's only at the time she was 18 or 17. You could tell she already had a trained like a Broadway. She could sing.
Well, she probably learned from her mom.
Probably.
Having that, she got to do all of that, the like trudging through the water that she had to do. She
Yeah.
didn't have to. She was like, you have one of the best teachers you can imagine who went through that.
Right.
It wasn't like she was just gifted with this amazing
No,
voice. It's
exactly.
like, oh, this is why that's happening.
Right. No, it's trained.
Yeah. So that's pretty. Is she trying to become an actress or an artist, like a recording artist?
It doesn't seem like she's really pursuing either at the time. Right at the time, she was. It's funny. She was dating. Who was also a student there at the time. What's his first name? Chalamet, the kid who.
Timothy Chalamet.
Timothy
Yeah.
Chalamet. He was a student there, and they were a couple.
Yeah.
And they dated for the whole senior year, I think. And he went on to become.
Yeah.
obviously an Academy
That was
Award
so wait.
nominated-
That was at LaGuardia, right?
Yeah.
That's where you saw. Yeah. I mean, I know so many kids who've come out of that. It's, I guess, I don't have any experience other than the people I know who've come out of there. It's, I guess, it's like a really an amazing program.
Yeah.
For people who want to be in the arts.
Yeah. But I don't know that she's
doing anything.
pursuing it. Yeah.
I'll have to look at that. I remember, I just on another note, so like Madonna, I remember when I was doing research for the documentary
Mhm.
that she has a sister who was trying to be, I guess, a singer or a model or something.
Yeah, that's her sister Paula in the early '80s, like maybe like 84-ish.
Yeah.
Her sister Paula moved to New York City, and for a short time tried to pursue becoming a singer. And Madonna really, it didn't seem. I mean, I don't know. There might be more between them, but it just didn't seem like Madonna really gave her any kind of helping hand.
Yeah.
Not that she owed it to her to do
Sure.
that. Especially as we know, everything Madonna went through on her own, nobody handed it to her that way.
Yeah.
But I think probably as a sibling of someone who got so much fame in such a short period of time, might have thought, hey, well, why
Help
can't
me
I
out
do
here.
this?
Yeah.
Is that easy? I'm going to move to New York and become a superstar.
Yeah.
But it's not, and it wasn't.
Yeah.
And she didn't really go anywhere.
I always find that fascinating with siblings like the Wahlbergs.
Mhm.
So obviously there's Mark, who is, everyone knows, The Departed, Ted, whatever, Funky Bunch,
Everything, yeah.
everything. So, and then there's his brother, who is
Donnie. Mhm.
Blue Bloods, and then he's got his own band too,
Mhm.
New Kids on the Block, right? And then there's like two other brothers. I don't know if you know
Yeah,
this.
I don't even know them.
But there's two other brothers, and one of them, the oldest one, is also an actor. I remember I know an actress who did like a pilot with him, and I'm like, how is it, like I guess there's just such a weird, you want people who you're related to succeed and to have all the success they can, but it's like you don't want to hand anyone anything either, because then that is a recipe for disaster. That's why you see all these famous people who like say, like a lot of rappers, for instance, like, oh, I'm going to give all these people around me a job. They'll be my bodyguards. And then those people are like, I want more. I want this. And then they're like, they'll be the people to stab you in the back the quickest if you don't, whatever. It's not working out.
Yeah.
I just always find that like dichotomy of being in a relationship, any relationship, and like being in that same entertainment industry.
Yeah. And I don't think I think that's sort of like an indication that it's not making it in this business. Excuse me. It's not like it's not something you can be handed in general. But just because you're someone's brother or sister, like you might be able to get handed something initially, maybe a part in a film, or
But you got to do the work to take that
a
to
record deal, or whatever.
yeah.
But you might not resonate with people. You just might, and you might not catch on. It's not about who your relatives are. It's about you.
Yeah.
And that's what you're going to make it or you're not. It doesn't matter, who your family is.
Yeah.
So, it's tough. Just because your brother's Mark Wahlberg or
Yeah.
your sister's Madonna doesn't mean the world wants anything to do with you.
It's true.
entertainment,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember, what's his, God, the actor, why is he drawing a blank right now? Well, if I forgot it, it must have not been that important. So let's just go with that. Cool. So that's a ton of, I guess, how you've, I guess it all makes sense now why you've made a documentary film about Madonna, that influential in your life. And I think that's the same with most things that become successful. It stems from something that's real personal and unique. And we've talked about this on length hundreds of times. And I think that's why people, when you see this movie, you're going to see the intricate details, the specificity, the research that only someone, like we were saying, I think we were talking on the phone, it's like, you have to be obsessed, because if you're not, then you wouldn't do it.
Right.
It's not that, it's like, it's not rewarding in any other department, other than like the self-gratification of, I love this, and I'm getting pleasure just doing something on this subject matter.
Right.
There's nobody there patting you on the back.
Exactly.
There's no paycheck every certain days when you're starting out, of course.
Right.
And by starting out's a bad way to put it. When you're doing something without a huge financial backing is a better way of putting it. Independently, yeah. So I obviously you'll know more information when we can announce the release date and stuff, which we're still pending. But check out the trailer for certain. So there's obviously a bunch of questions I want to ask you, but we'll circle back to veganism for now, and then we'll see where it takes us. I know you went vegan. You want to talk? I guess what was that? I guess it was probably a year ago, right?
Oh yeah, about a year ago.
And then you watched a documentary, I believe, and that was kind of the catalyst for you. What was the catalyst that inspired that?
Yeah. I think it was the movie What the Health.
Yeah,
was on one night, and segueing out of the film thing. When you're shooting a film independently and without much of a budget, you don't have craft services out there cooking for everyone. You have to just basically take a lunch order and send a PA or someone to go run and get the food. And there's always those one or two people that are like pain in the butt vegans, and I don't eat cheese, or I don't eat meat, or I don't eat nuts, or I don't eat cheese, nuts, or meat. And
all we can afford is pizza. Please just eat the pizza.
Yeah.
That's kind of like what the film said.
Take the cheese off.
Yeah.
But so like there was always like that guy.
Yeah.
But then about like, a little maybe 2/3 into making the movie, I sort of became that guy.
Yeah.
Because I suddenly overnight became vegan by watching this movie What the Health.
Yeah.
Which was literally like, for me it was all about your health. It wasn't about really animal cruelty and the realities of what's done to animals to get the food that we eat, the meat that we eat, the dairy that we eat, which I am an animal lover, and those things mattered to me, but I was able to put them out of my head and not think about them.
Yeah.
I know that's a cop-out,
Sure.
but I would do it. And with this movie, it was more like it triggered like, this is like life or death for you.
Yeah.
This is about how you metabolize things, how these foods are like killing you, basically, whether it's diabetes, heart disease, inflammation, all kinds of things that cause other diseases and cancers, and it gives you a play-by-play of every food group and what it does to you. And I finished the movie and I was like, I can never eat meat or dairy again.
Yeah.
I'd be crazy.
Yeah.
And I went cold turkey, like that's it.
Yeah.
So it was easy at first because I was so motivated to do it. So that's always going to make things a little easier when you're passionate about something. It's easier to do it. But after a while, it started to get difficult because let's face it, it's not convenient to be vegan, full on vegan. Even in New York City, where there's a lot of vegan people and a lot of vegan choices and stuff, it's still, you have to plan. You have to know where you're going to eat, or you have to know to make something for yourself or bring something for yourself. Or if you're going out to dinner, you can only have to pick certain places, and other people you're with might not like those places.
Yeah.
And so all that stuff makes it hard.
Well, I think a good lesson from that too, that statement is convenience. The term convenience means something different to each person. So like a lot of people, you think like convenience, it could be affected by your relationships around you immediately, your professional relationships. You're trying to you're trying to make a business deal, right? Let's say you're a CEO of a company. You're trying to court someone, take them out to a meal, and you're like, "Hey, I'm vegan, by the way. We can only go to this restaurant." They're like, "What?" I don't know if I want to do business with you.
Right.
And that has nothing to do with you as a person or any of those things. But that's one way convenience affects your circle around you
Yeah.
and all those things. And I think that's a really interesting topic that never gets brought up. So often you see kind of people in the vegan community, it seems very black and white. You either love animals or you don't. And you either care about your health or you don't. And there's never like that gray area that everything exists in. That's what I really find most fascinating about veganism and kind of the movement of it. And that's the voice I want to have, is I want to be in that gray area. I want to talk about the stuff that's not black and white. It's not, red meat gives you heart disease. That's a fact, right? You eat enough of it, there's a higher chance you'll get it, statistically, scientifically. But that's not going to be the factor that enlightens someone or educates someone. It's different for everybody. So for you, I think, and if you haven't seen What the Health, it is an amazing documentary. What the Health, I think too, it gives you a nice look at your health and says, hey, if you care about your body, you care about what you're putting inside of you, you really need to do your research, really, is what it becomes. It's like the same way you research buying a car. People go, like, they look up Kelly Blue Book, who owned this thing before, what kind of problems has it had.
Right.
Like, that's something that takes care of you. Takes you to work, your safety. It's like, why wouldn't you care about in the same way, like the stuff you put in your body?
Right.
Reading the labels. Right. You just trust that this is something that's good for you. That always blew my mind, is that people are so willing to just not care what's in something. Like, how often do you go to eat at like a friend's house or anything, and someone's just like, here's food. And you're like, let me put that into my temple.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, it's sort of like you're just brainwashed, I guess, from the time you're kids. Like, whatever your parents put out for you, you ate, and they knew better, so they knew it was good for you.
Yeah.
Even though they didn't, or they would just buy things, and I don't know. There wasn't, at that time, people didn't think as much about those things, and that's what we grew up with. Parents that didn't really think that much about those things. And
your Italian background too, right? That's like me. So eating a vegan diet was almost like, you're an alien. Like, what's wrong with you? Something's wrong with you.
Right.
Move out of New York. You're hanging around New York for too long. It was kind of the idea.
Right. Yeah. Oh, now he's vegan.
Yeah.
How long's this gonna last?
Exactly. Yeah. It's they think that it's like part of the hipster movement, which I think there's like some crossover for sure.
Yeah, I think that, look, when you're progressive in any way, I think it just you start to open your mind to all sorts of different things. And you're just open-minded to looking at something like veganism, or just different ways of thinking, and it might not be right for you, but it's just, you're broader in your thinking, and I think there is a correlation between progressive people and veganism. There just is.
I think that there has to be, like you're saying, it's being open-minded. Would you say that going back to the film set, being kind of like that picky person, that person who didn't want to cause problems, did that like have a play in not wanting to do it prior, or was did it ever like, because I'd known those people. I remember I did a movie with a girl who was a raw vegan many years ago, before I even knew what that veganism was something that you could do. Like, I just thought it was like you were born like that or something. And I remember like, how does this girl exist on just celery? I was like, what? Like, you're just eating water all day? I'm like, it didn't make sense to me. And I was like, they got to go buy like this and that. Like, I was around that. And I saw the way everyone around her was like treating her. I was like, oh, this girl is such a freaking prima donna.
Right.
Prima donna.
Right.
How did that phrase become something? Is that like...
It has to do with the opera.
Oh.
Yeah.
Anyway, so did that have any influence on you at all? Like, to not want to do it? No.
Generally, and my husband can attest to this. I'm not influenced by what other people think at all, like to a fault. I think, because I just honestly, I don't care what someone else thinks. Well,
that's a very valuable trait to have, but I see to a fault there's you want to push back some point.
I'm not afraid to say no to things. I'm not where like, he's probably the opposite of me, so he'll do things that he doesn't want to do just because he wants that person to like him, or just because he wants to do the right thing. And for me, I feel like I'm just being honest, and I'm not going to give you a lie either. I'm not going to make up some crazy excuse that I have to remember. I'm just gonna tell you. I don't. Really
You are
want
very
to.
straightforward, and I do. That's one of the traits I think I like most about you. There's like very rarely is there like bullshit.
No.
You know, and that's
why?
one thing I that's one thing in my life. The older I get, it's like the least amount of that I can have. Like the more, even if it's something that hurts me, I'd rather it be straightforward, because then at least then you get an immediate answer and you can find a quicker solution.
Right.
If there is a confrontation.
Yeah.
If you just want to like bullshit around it, it's like why it just creates anxiety.
Yeah.
And why we live such a short time on this earth.
Yeah.
Why have
Right.
that? I don't get
Yeah.
it.
Just say what it is you want. And if you don't want to do something, okay.
Yeah.
Like, all right.
Yeah, I remember, and I've learned, and I think it takes I think it takes, because of the way we're bred, conditioned.
Yeah.
It takes going through bad experiences for a lot of people to realize that, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I know it did for me, realizing that's not something I want anymore, to say like that's how you stop it.
Right.
And that takes a lot of balls, takes a lot of confidence. I think people just think like, well, why can't you just be like that? Why can't you just stop? Why can't you just not be afraid? Why can't you just have the balls to do something? It's like, well, it's not that easy.
Right.
Especially in this industry, I think, to like be your own self, to
Yeah.
not like people please or have a voice. But that's for me. I didn't have that either. I wasn't influenced. I think at the end of the day, when I went vegan, I knew when I went vegan, my friends were gonna give me shit about it, and my family were gonna give me shit. But I didn't really care what the film business kind of thought. And I remember I do remember people saying like, oh, you better watch out, because you don't want to, like, someone might not hire you because of that. And I'm like, yeah, I guess there's like, but I'm like, in what weird world are they doing enough research on me right now to where they're going to know that, and that's going to be the reason why they don't hire me. And if they're doing that much research and they don't hire me, that's not someone I want to work with.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
exactly. Yeah.
I think it's like the biggest discrepancy I always have, and I talk about, is like if I get booked for a commercial. I remember I was doing I almost got booked for a Chick-fil-A commercial. I was like, now this is some real blood money right now. This is some real blood money. But that's a whole other conversation where you have to be smart, and this is the world that I live in, where you can use your platform to help advocate for things. Me being poor and not being able to be rent is not going to help anyone in the vegan community. You know what I mean? Like, it's not going to help anyone's cause. So you have to take every situation individually, and there's not a golden rule.
Yeah, I think that's what you're saying. Like, that's the gray area.
Yeah.
You know, 'cause someone else who might be more black and white with it might say, absolutely not. I'm not going to do it.
Sure.
I don't care if I'm
But
starving.
that person might not feed their kids.
Yeah.
And then where's the ethics line really there?
Right.
And
that's how it is for me. Like, I don't, like I say, okay, like I quit being vegan.
Yeah.
And in the black and white sense, yeah, I have. Like,
so how did that? So yeah, talk about that.
It got very, very difficult. Just to, what are we gonna eat? What are we gonna eat? I don't know, you know. And I introduced fish first. I said, okay, I'll be a pescatarian.
Yeah.
And so I started eating tuna because that's easy and convenient. Just open up a can of tuna fish or whatever. Salmon at restaurants, you know. And then, but I think once that can of worms was open, it was easier.
Yeah.
To cook. Well, maybe just some poultry. So now we'll do chicken. So that's pretty much what I do now.
And then
just,
the meat gods pulled you back in.
Yeah. So then it became fish or chicken.
Yeah.
I still do that. The dairy. Again, I edged back in like, okay, if something has cheese in the ingredients or something, I'm not going to not eat it.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to have a grilled cheese sandwich.
Yeah.
I'm not going to get something purposely with cheese.
Yeah.
Or, you know, generally. I will have a piece of pizza with cheese.
But you won't go to a, what are those, they call those, where they get the hot pots of fondue.
Right. No.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. I don't. And I won't. And I don't eat beef. Not that, you know, cows are anymore.
Yeah. Not that
valuable than
sure.
chickens or whatever. That's probably more of a health reason. I feel probably red meat's probably a little worse for you than poultry and stuff. But I try to not have the dairy. I don't drink milk anymore at all, ever.
Mm-hmm.
I try to do it as minimally as I can. Yeah. That doesn't infringe on me the way it was when I was really strict about it. Whether that means like I'm helping in any way. I don't know. But I feel like, because there is a part of me that feels the guilt about the animal stuff,
Sure.
I am an animal lover. Again, I try to separate it in my head just because it's not to have the guilt.
Yeah.
But, I think, and I don't know what you think about this, like having less is better than not doing it at all.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like,
that's what I think it is. I mean, I think the idea of veganism, what it means to me, just because I don't, let's say the word cheat, let's just use that as the word here. Just because I don't doesn't mean that I still don't believe that it's about doing the least amount of contributing to the animal agriculture industry, exploiting animals, damaging our environment, the millions things that happen, deforestation of the world. It's all about the least amount we can do. I mean, I did an episode on this already, but I have cats. I buy meat for my cats.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So there's the world is not black and white in that sense. And everyone has their own path, their own journey. I think ultimately if we can maneuver into a world with zero, I don't think it'll happen in my lifetime, although I really hope, and I think that's what the fight is for, zero animal cruelty and all that stuff. But I think there's a lot of other things we need to continue to keep fixing and figuring out and making it more convenient, making it easier, making...
And it more and affordable, too, because that's a part of it, too.
Yeah.
And you probably found ways around it because you've been vegan so long.
Sure.
But, like, the expense, because it became, we had to order out a lot. Because in New York City, you can get vegan food.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of these specific vegan places,
Sure.
ordering our lunch from there, our dinner from there, even our breakfast from there. And just preparing foods and I don't know, just the shopping and the cooking and all of it. I guess maybe I'm lazy in that way. I just want to have something easy and...
Yeah. I think if you're... So that's... I mean... At the end of the day, it's like if that's a part of your scheduling and your life and your routine, it's like you're saying, if you're ordering out every day, that's just the way your time management is fluctuating in your life right now. It's not something that some people can just take a snap and change their entire life.
Right.
And sometimes it doesn't, account for it. You need that time in some capacity for your own mental health. You know what I mean? So this is one thing too, and I talk about if you're going to vegan restaurants all the time, it is going to be more expensive. And there is a bit, I think, of an exploitation by some of these chains that mark up the price because they know that there's such selective places that have it. So and I think there's a reason why they do it because they need to justify the business, probably to some degree. But I think now as veganism becomes extremely popular in areas like New York City, you can, level out those prices and make them more consumer affordable. You go to Candle Cafe, right? An amazing restaurant. I don't know if you've ever been there. Candle 79 or whatever. It's on 79th Street, whatever. The food is phenomenal, but it's $30 a plate. And there's 3 other or 4 other restaurants in the vicinity that are vegan restaurants, and they're all $18 a plate. You can't get that $8 plate.
Right.
The $8 burrito is $14.
Right.
That's so let's say 6 times 3. $18, so $20 extra a day, right? That's.
And you would think that to make that stuff would be less expensive.
Not always.
To make.
Yeah,
no,
that's not the case. Not always. It depends on how many people you're feeding. If you're utilizing every resource, and that takes time to have the time to cook and prepare every meal. And a lot of people do have that time, but it's not something you can just do overnight.
Right.
And I think ultimately as people, especially in this industry, man, I was just talking with Allie about it. It's you go down this path of becoming a filmmaker or an artist. An artist is a very, very dark road when it comes to trying to find happiness and success at the same time. Every ounce of time, it's if you're not committing that to your art, you feel like you're wasting it.
Right.
Because it's you're fighting every second to find that place.
Right.
And some people will never find it.
Yeah.
So I do find being an artist is it's a gray area where, saying like, I want to be vegan. It should be so easy. I have all this time to prepare meals. It's like, we don't have a regimented schedule like everybody else in this world where we can say, oh, every single day from 5 to 7, I can cook meals. I might have to go do something randomly that comes up. And then I have to go and order and finances. It's all a part of the equation.
Yeah.
I think this is I like this conversation a lot. I think it's you don't get to talk about this stuff with people. People think it's like, it is so black and white. And I think there's more reasons why it's not.
Yeah.
Do you find that, so obviously the cost had a factor. Do you find that, did you start seeing some of the graphic content? Was that ever a part of like your social media feed, or did you start seeing more of that? Did that play an effect in your veganism at all after watching What the Health at all?
You mean like, did that stuff start automatically showing up on my feed? Like,
well, I mean, did you start actively looking out for it as like because point I'm trying to make here is this, is that I started following certain groups on Facebook after I went vegan, right? And a lot of these Facebook groups post these animal cruelty things. And every time, like in the beginning when I was having that meat addiction, that I was like, man, I just want a piece of chicken. I would see a video that I didn't want to see, but I'd see it and I'd say, that's why you're going vegan. That's why you're doing it. That was reinforcing it. Did you have that interplay in your journey?
No, I didn't. And again, I see those videos and they're horrific.
Yeah.
And they break my heart. And I know this is just completely hypocritical and a cop-out. It doesn't, maybe it would have to be in a certain moment where, okay, maybe if I just watched the video, I couldn't go ahead and have, a piece of bacon or something, or, but in generally, I'm able to have it escape my mind and just eat it like chicken as if it's its own thing that's not from an actual chicken.
You can disassociate that they had to kill something to be on your plate.
It's just this piece of white stuff that you just eat.
Yeah. Well, we're conditioned that way. And honestly, the way that it looks and it's marketed, it's like you think that there's just like a McDonald's factory that pulls a lever and, the chicken nuggets come out. Yeah. Like that's what it seems like.
Right.
There's no gruesome slaughter in any advertising. So it's not a part of, as a child, from where you're early developing. I mean, that's what I always say is veganism never really made sense to me because I was like, what? This came from that? Doesn't make sense.
Right. Yeah.
And I think it's fun. I do it. It torments my sister. I always try to trick my nephew into like saying, you know what you're eating? That's a cow. Hot dog, that's a pig. And he's like, what? Like to see like where are the wheels turning at all?
Yeah. And like you think about like, okay, we have pets like, cats and, domesticated animals.
Sure.
Like, like that's probably where I would draw the line. Like I could never eat dog meat knowingly.
Yeah.
Or cat meat. Why, I don't know. Why should that be any more valuable?
Yeah.
Than a pig or a chicken. I guess just because, we have them they're part of our family.
Yeah.
It's like eating your family member,
it's cultural conditioning.
Yeah. Again, yeah.
Would you say that from when let's start. So when you first went vegan, did you notice any health benefits?
Yeah. When I was like really hardcore. I slept better, much better.
Yeah.
I started losing weight. I'm not sure if I attribute that just because I couldn't find anything to eat most of the time.
I do think that is
I was
what
eating
happens
less.
to people, yeah. But generally, you're like, if you have a salad, right? Let's say, for instance, and you're eating healthy to begin with, you're having less calories.
Yeah.
Unless you're supplementing it with like a ton of tofu.
Right. Yeah. And also it was about me finding out what things I should actually be eating. There was a whole exploring that. But I lost some weight. I felt more energetic. I did. I slept like a baby.
Really?
Those were the big things for me. But then as it started going, I started to gain weight. And I think it's probably because I was eating a lot of starches, maybe.
Yeah, that happened to me too.
Yeah.
I was eating a ton of cookies, like the vegan sweets.
Mm-hmm.
I started seeing everything as vegan and thinking it didn't have calories in it.
Right.
And I think that's a trick that happens to a lot of people, especially in New York where you can order it out. When that's your lifestyle, you can just go to a restaurant and you can get like a cheesesteak made with seitan or mushrooms or whatever, and it's smothered in cashew cheese.
Right.
Cashews has one of the highest calorie counts of any food ever.
Yeah.
People don't realize how fattening cashew cheese is.
Yeah.
And probably overall better for you than dairy cheese. But if you have that cashew cheese, that should be all you're having kind of for the day.
Yeah. And I didn't have all that information.
Yeah.
So I was just eating things that were vegan.
Sure.
And whatever it was.
Yeah.
It was food.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, no, I did the same thing. I gained weight. Weight. And I'm only now starting to lose that weight that I gained. Did you notice when you switched to eating fish and meat, there was anything that was, so I guess inadvertently to the question, have you seen negative effects from going back, or have you seen positive effects?
I would say that, my sleep patterns probably went back to the way they were, which is not great. Like always waking up a couple of times during the night. Yeah. So I don't know what it is, digestively that's making that happen. I do feel like I'm able to put on muscle easier again with not being vegan. But what's going on inside my body, it's a whole different story.
Sure.
I don't know. I don't know, the repercussions of, what it's doing. Yeah. Internally,
Have you been more conscious to buy things like that are organic or gluten-free? Did that happen, or what was
No.
It's like, fuck it, I'm back in.
No.
Give me some meat. So I wonder.
Right now, I'm trying not to eat processed things.
I think that at the end of the day, I mean, overall, for anything, if you can eat the least amount of processed food as possible for your health, right? That's where you're going to see, regardless if you're eating meat, dairy, whatever, processed food. If you can eliminate that, you're going to see changes.
Yeah, I did. I did.
And that's going to be overall better for your health anyway. I always say with my friends, I don't think in an ideal world that if we, let's say, hundreds, thousands of years ago when meat wasn't contaminated in the way that we deal with it now, and fish, that if we were to have meat once a week, like probably the true paleo diet was, and the rest of it existed with fruits, nuts, berries, vegetables, whatever, I think that's probably the ideal diet, because then you're getting all of the things that you probably need. Right. And even in today's society, the way that B12 and vitamin D is differentiated because we're colonizing and all that stuff, I don't think eating meat is as terrible as many vegan people like to say it is, but the meat that we are eating now in the factories, the way it's created, is bad for you. So I think that's where the discrepancy is. People like to leverage and just overall exploit this idea that like meat is terrible for you. Right. And I don't think it's as good as eating vegetables and fruit for you, but I don't think if you existed on like the best well-raised, it's a fantasy world to think this, but like chicken and fish, that you would be less healthy than somebody else. It's too hard to like create that case study.
Yeah, and I think in that movie about the health, I think that a lot of it was they were showing what not necessarily about just meat, but how our meat is distributed now, and the hormones that are in them, and all that stuff. The antibiotics, and so it's really about how we're preparing that. Like if we were hunters, maybe it would be fine.
Exactly. Yeah. And even then, I mean, just the pollution, I think, has such an effect too. Even for people who go in the soil, like the way that was one of the things I remember was in What the Health. They said you go to these lower income communities where these factory farms are, and the pollution is causing cancer just from being in the living area of these factories. And I thought that was something that really resonated with me. Yeah. Do you think that there is something? So obviously, if you had the desire to go vegan, you had a concern for your health. Do you think that now? What mentally is changed from that, or what would have to change for you to kind of like reinvite that back in, or was it just kind of like a fad that you went through? You think? And
no, because I think I learned a lot.
You won't hurt my feelings.
No, I know. I don't give a shit. Remember?
I know you don't. Yeah. That's why I think this is such a good conversation. It's so hard to have this with people, and like it's most people want to just stay the course of like vegan propaganda. Right. There's propaganda in any business. Yeah. Any business. Veganism is a business. All right. People need to realize that at the end of the day, there are way more people doing good and more activists that are prevalent than like in the meat industry. But there is a business at the end of this, and people are trying to sell things. So there's tons of processed companies trying to get your dollar.
Right.
And that doesn't go with just being the most humane. There's there was a controversy with the Impossible Burger. They started off doing testing on rats. And it's like, wait, you're a vegan company.
Right.
Dia got bought by a company that was doing pharmaceutical testing on animals too. Don't quote me on any of this. I'm not a scientist or a researcher. Look this up and tell me I'm wrong.
Allegedly.
But allegedly, yeah. So it's not that black and white.
Yeah. No, but I learned in being vegan for however long it was.
Yeah.
I don't know, 6 or 8 months or whatever. I learned a lot about other things that I never knew that other choices to have, and I still incorporate those things. So like I'll have bean-based pastas now.
Yeah.
Like I'm not gonna make white pasta
Yeah.
ever again. I just don't do it. So and you're getting your protein there. It's filling. It tastes great. So, and I think it's healthier for me. So I'm not saying it wasn't a waste. It wasn't like, although I'm not. I wouldn't say I'm vegan anymore or even vegetarian anymore. There were definitely benefits that, having gone through that, I learned. I still incorporate. Like I said, like I think it's good just to maybe I'm like halfway now. As far as being completely vegan and non-vegan, I'd say I'm like right in the middle.
Yeah.
Because I'm eating meat, I'm eating chicken. I know I'm eating fish, probably half the amount that I used to. That's my point.
Sure.
Before I went vegan.
Yeah, and like you're gonna see benefits from that, regardless. Like people think like it's all or nothing always.
Right.
It's like that's like saying, wait, so you're saying if I ate 20 cookies a day and now I'm eating 2 cookies a day, I'm not going to lose weight? It's like, yes, you're going to see benefits from that.
Right.
So what do you think would have to change for you or your life or for the veganism industry? Like what needs to happen for you to kind of like reinvite that lifestyle if you were to do it?
Probably, honestly, if I had
a chef.
Yeah.
Like
if I had a ton,
read your mind.
a ton of money.
Yeah.
And someone would prepare, guy, this is what you're eating today.
Yeah.
All day. Here's your food, your snacks, everything. I'd be like, awesome.
Yeah.
It could be whatever it is. I don't really care. But it's great.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't never about the taste for me. I didn't not enjoy the vegan food. It wasn't that at all. Desserts, I loved it.
That's the thing. People always try to say that the desserts taste different, and I joke about it and say like, oh yeah, I noticed something was different. No, you did not. It's like you would never know the difference.
It was good, and actually, honestly, I felt the desserts. A lot of the desserts I enjoyed more because like typically Sunday was like all out cheat day, so whatever nothing's off limits.
Bring on the cake, cupcakes.
Yeah.
What's your poison for sweets?
Cakes and cupcakes.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Not candy so much, cake.
Yeah.
So cupcakes were a big thing. But like when I wasn't eating vegan cupcakes, although I wanted to eat the 4 that I bought, like after like 1.5, I was like, oh.
I'm full. Yeah.
But I would still eat the other, like finish the other half, have 2, and then like, okay, maybe in like an hour I'll be hungry and eat the other 2,
Yeah.
Because I wanted to have them so bad. But with vegan, I don't know if maybe it's because there's not the butter or cream, or whatever it was. Like, I'm exaggerating with 4.
Sure.
But a good 3.
Yeah.
Like, I could eat 3 cupcakes and not feel like I wanted to throw up.
Yeah.
I'd be like, oh, wow, that was good. I enjoyed them.
Yeah.
I don't feel sick, and so, yeah, like I almost preferred the desserts in that way. Sure.
I think that's true. I think you can also. I've noticed the same thing. I don't get nearly as full eating the desserts. Although some of them I think way overdo the sugar, and you have a bite and you're like, I've had enough.
Yeah.
This is filling. But I think overall they're using. It's always a weird word, but cleaner ingredients. Yeah. So like you're saying, the butter or the egg, whatever it is. That's
a certain heaviness that wasn't there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think with the vegan sweets, you're not seeing that. There's so many sweets you can make. Use substitutes. I made brownies one of the other days with my buddy Donald was on the show, and we used banana as the egg substitute. It's like, just think about that. Eating an egg versus eating a banana. Which is going to make you more filled?
Right.
Just from a calorie standpoint, you're looking at a drastic difference. So the desserts, it's very, it's fun. I think dessert, like if you're, what do they call a baker or a pastry or chef, like a pastry chef, that's got to be a fun life as a vegan.
Yeah.
So for you, you'd need a chef. And what else?
No, yeah, that's it. Because like I said, it was never about me feeling like, oh, I'm not gonna eat that. I don't. I enjoyed it.
What if, I'm gonna challenge you here. So what if they started, this is a fantasy world, all right? The meat regulation, whatever it is, I don't know if it's the same thing that they put in processed food, whatever it is, whoever regulates meat processing. If you wanted to get meat now, you had to watch the animal get slaughtered in front of you. Would you be able to take that meat, take it home, cook it, and eat it, you think? And you had to watch it get killed.
No, that's too direct.
Yeah.
No. But I'm trying to think, just making this fantasy as real as I can in my head. To me, that probably part of the reason that I wouldn't, or I'd go get beans or a bean-based product, is because the inconvenience of having to go to watch it and sit there and wait and then do it and then have it, that would be part of the reason.
Yeah.
Not just the fact that I just watch this thing get slaughtered, but the inconvenience
of the time and the process of it. I don't know how that is so funny.
I just know the way I am.
But it is.
I don't have time to go sit there and watch this thing. I just have this bean burger.
Yeah. That is so funny. Oh my God. Yeah, can you hurry up with that that hen you're slaughtering over there? I got somewhere to be. Like,
I get it. Cut it up. Let's go.
No. Oh my God.
I'm not saying that would have nothing to do with it.
Sure, but that's part, like, in that fantasy world, that's just so funny. I think that I'm always curious, like, what it is for people. I think it's a very interesting position. I'm gonna have a buddy of mine go vegan for like a couple weeks or a month, then have him to have like just a quick blip. He's like, he has no desire to be vegan, so that's the difference. I want to do the case study on him to see how he changes kind of, or what he gets out of it. Because I know a ton of people who don't. It's so weird, because I do think at the end of the day, everyone deep down somewhere, even in that darkest of hearts that they have, loves animals. Yeah. As much as people like to say, like, I don't care about animals, it's like, you're trying to say you don't care about like a living being, right? Really, you want to be that person,
right?
And I feel like even there's a lot of ego or masculinity involved with that. You don't hear a lot of women say that, right? I feel like it's a very masculine thing to say, like being around men, like, oh yeah, I don't give a shit about animals,
right?
Fucking dog, right? Shit,
exactly.
Like so. Yeah. But I don't know. I think there's a lot that's happening that needs to continue to happen to make veganism accessible, convenient. By and large, like for someone like you are progressive, you're open-minded. There's tons of people who are just like, I have to go to a special store and get this food. Imagine if you didn't live in New York City. There's not a Whole Foods for 100 miles, or it's probably an exaggeration, but like there's not a Trader Joe's. And obviously you can go to, the food towns or the Pathmarks or whatever this food store is, Wegmans for you, wherever you are, and you can get the potatoes, the beans, and all that stuff. But like you said, that's a process. Right. And anyone can do it, but can you live the life? Because then there's the whole thing is, are you living your life to be a vegan and to be this activist? And I think if you can, amazing. But some people got careers, they've got children to feed, and it's the world's job, and the people who have that passion for that career, everyone, I think ultimately you should be doing work. And I know this isn't the case for a lot of people, but if you can make your livelihood doing something that's having a positive effect in some way on the world, whether that's through telling stories or through being an activist, humanitarian, or doing Peace Corps, whatever you're doing, you work for a company that makes products that are better for the environment. You invent things. If you can have your life be a part of that, I think that's the way we're supposed to exist. Obviously, service people who, work at McDonald's or whatever, everyone has their place in the chain of humanity. But I think ultimately, the more we can get people in humanity able to do jobs that are fulfilling, the more happiness will exist. And I think that's how the world comes to full circle. So I think there's a lot of responsibility on these people who are the front runners of the veganism movement, who are making these products, who are doing all these things to make things more accessible, make it easier. The Beyond Burger was a huge step in the right direction. And I think more of that needs to happen.
Yeah. And I love that.
Yeah.
I love Beyond Burgers.
They're
So
good. And
good.
it's so
So
many.
good.
And I hate the people who are like, just a little something different. It's like, well, it tastes like what were you expecting? Number one, and I would like to meet one person who's eaten like a fat, greasy cheeseburger who at the end of it goes, man, I feel great. I could go run a marathon.
Right.
When I eat a Beyond Burger, I can truly say I don't feel like I just ate a dying body.
Right.
That's what I feel like when I used to eat cheeseburgers.
Right.
But if you haven't had the Candle 79 Beyond Burger, they do a seitan burger. No, they have a seitan burger.
Okay.
Oh, that's the best burger I've had.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just recommended it to someone like my buddy Donald who was on. He was just asking me for restaurants. I told him, if you haven't gone to the Cinnamon Snail in Penn Station, or no, Madison Square Garden, yeah, like Penn Station, somewhere around there's like that area there.
Yeah.
Cinnamon Snail is a really good place, and Peace Food, which is on 79th or 80th in Amsterdam. Really, two really good restaurants.
And the one that's down across from Hamlet's Vintage.
Yeah, that's Red Bamboo, and
Yes.
then
Yeah,
there's one next to it too. It's an Asian restaurant. Those are also really. Red Bamboo is really, really good. It's on West 4th. Hamlet's Vintage was a location we shot for Madonna and the Breakfast Club.
Yeah.
You'll recognize it if you watch the film.
Yeah.
So let's see if I can just throw some questions out here that I wrote down. Just kind of sum things up here for us. I'll just throw these. What's your I don't even know if I know this. What's your favorite movie and your favorite filmmaker?
Well, I guess what I said earlier. I love the story of Greece.
Yeah.
But you know what? Back in the day.
Back in my
again,
day.
So movies. Back when I grew up, there was like
Charlie Chaplin was on the telly.
No, so you would have I don't know, maybe 4 movies out for the whole summer.
Yeah.
Right? And everyone would see those same 4 movies over and over again.
Yeah.
And everyone saw them and you could all talk about them, whatever. Now we don't have that.
Yeah.
Now there's I don't know, 20 movies playing at once, and whether they're theatrical or on demand or on Amazon or streaming or whatever. So you're not engaging in the same stories the way it used to be. And so I think my favorite movies, the reasons why I consider them my favorite movies is because they bring me back to a place where we got such joy out of the experience of watching the movie, like Grease or Jaws or E.T. or Dirty Dancing, or they were events.
Yeah, that doesn't really. I mean, it kind of does. I mean, with the blockbusters, but
only
it's
blockbusters.
But
your
even
Star
then,
Wars or your superhero movies, or your
the
things
superhero
like that.
movies.
Those are our event movies now. Back then, it wasn't like that.
Yeah.
It was stories that were these events, and everyone would go, and you'd buy the soundtrack, and you'd listen to that the whole summer, and you'd hang the poster on your wall, whatever. So, so movies like E.T., I have such a resonate, such a good feeling, for me, or like Grease, because we would try to put on the Grease plays, all summer long with our friends, and
this was before kind of the internet even too. I feel like when the internet came, the conversations were able to spread towards that. You could avoid kind of human conversation,
right?
But you see a movie when you're talking about growing up, it's you need to go to school or to the people around you and talk about this, and that doesn't really happen as much anymore. I feel like people go see a blockbuster, they go to the YouTube trailer, and they're like, this movie, this, they're on 4chan or Reddit or whatever website they talk about the stuff on,
right?
And that's kind of that's really the extent of it. I remember for me that was the Star Wars movies, the new ones, because the original ones came out before I could really talk about it. But I remember those being very eventy movies. You'd go and see that. And everyone was talking about them.
Oh yeah.
But I guess to your point, it's there was only 4 of them.
Right.
4 movies.
Yeah.
So what could you? There wasn't Game of Thrones. There wasn't Handmaid's Tale. There
Right.
wasn't a million things. You had to kind of make the most out of what you've
right. And
had.
then what was going on with TV was the same thing. You had 3 or 4 channels.
Yeah.
And everyone watched the same shows every night. Whatever show. You had your primetime section of whatever shows were on that night, and that was it.
Yeah.
You didn't have all these different. And it's kind of again, to sound old, you kids today.
You kids today don't know what it
like. I don't know. There's a certain joy of media that is not the same it's not the same. The way we experienced it back then was this sort of that group thing.
Yeah.
And it was a way to come together. And today everyone's watching things, like you said, just individually, no contact. Like there's some movies, again, people will go to whatever and talk about, but it's not the same. It's rare.
Yeah.
And all the different networks and streaming things, which are great. I'm not talking down about them, because that stuff is great on a whole different level for filmmakers, especially.
Yeah.
You can, anyone has the opportunity now to make content and get it out there in a way. With the time period I'm talking about, movies were made on film, and it was only a certain group of people that were making them, and certain studios were making them, and that was it.
Yep.
And it was so difficult. You could never make your own movie.
Yeah.
Back then. Today, here we are, we're making our own movie.
Yeah.
But it's coming out.
It's crazy.
In the day, growing up, no, that was
independent
impossible.
Film truly meant independent film back then. Now the lines are blurred, and I've said this so many times. You go to Sundance, and every movie's got a celebrity in it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's it's the blessing and the curse for the industry, because you have so much noise.
Right.
You got to figure out how you fit within that. But obviously, with your film, there's a lot of reason for it to be successful, and it has been successful because of the subject matter and the specificity, which is what I see a lot of movies lack nowadays. I see a lot of movies that I watched a buddy of mine put a short film of theirs on Facebook, and it was just like, it was about a breakup and this person trying to get his girlfriend back. And I watched it to be a good friend, and I was like, I finished it and I go, what the fuck did I just watch? Not because of it was weird, but it was literally exactly what I expected. And I was so mad. Mm-hmm. I was like, this is exactly the same as every other movie that's done this. Right. What did you do different?
Right.
And I felt so robbed of my time.
Right. Yeah.
So there's a lot more pressure, I think, to be innovative now.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
And I just watched this movie, and I hate to, it's rare that I will put down another.
Please do it.
No. It really is, because I know how hard it is to make a movie.
Yes, there's struggles
oh my God, yeah. So just the fact that a person or a group of people get a film made,
that's a feat within itself.
Done and delivered.
Yeah,
absolutely. And congratulations on that, because it takes a lot. So I respect that. Having said that, I watched this movie the other night with Sarah Jessica Parker on demand. Sarah Jessica Parker, you think, okay, she's pretty A-list person,
sure.
Almost iconic, so how bad could this movie be? It just came out.
Netflix movie?
It's on Amazon.
Okay.
Not Netflix. Or no, it's on your regular demand, like cable.
Or your television, sure.
Yeah, like whatever cable you have.
Yep.
On demand, new releases. The title escapes me right now, but that
says a lot.
Yeah, she's the main image on the poster. It's just her face, and it's about this girl who is diagnosed with brain cancer, and 2 hours of just sort of kind of walking around talking to people in her life, and with a chip on her shoulder. Mm-hmm. And then it ends. I'm like, what the fuck did I just watch? But
you stick through hoping that something happens. Yeah,
okay, something's gonna happen now.
Yeah,
for sure. And then the credits roll, and that angers me, because I guess because I know how hard it is to get a movie, not only a movie made, get the money to do a movie, they get the movie sold and get a distributor, and all those things are so hard that here's someone who has the power to get any movie made she wants.
Yeah,
and that's what you picked.
Well, maybe I don't want to speak on behalf of her.
She was a producer on it.
Okay. So then she wasn't collecting a paycheck.
Right.
If she was a producer, unless, maybe it was a friend. I don't know. I think there's a lot of reasons why people make movies, but it's you have that platform. You can make any story you want. Mm-hmm. And the thing that aggravates me about that is there's so many people who get the opportunity to make those movies, and it's so hard. It is being able to do what we're doing right now is winning. It's winning a lottery ticket in a sense, and to have people see your movie. Mm-hmm. It's not only hard work is not enough.
Mm-hmm. Right, no.
You have to be extremely lucky, and a lot of things need to be in the right place. Yeah. And when you see stuff like that happen, it's why was that the risk that was taken? Was it because only the person's name was attached to the project?
Right.
And it devalues storytelling, I think, the celebrity.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I really appreciated even iconic movies. And they even did it with the new Star Wars, as much as I didn't like those movies. But, Harrison Ford and Mark Hamill, they weren't like celebrity names when those movies became tremendous successes. And I think that attributed to why people were able to fall in love with the story more. You weren't just seeing Adam Sandler doing Adam Sandler in a different thing. It's like, that's not what you know what you're looking for when you see that, when you go to do that. And it's not about the story, I feel like, at that point.
Right.
It's about selling the ticket.
Exactly.
So, the more we can negotiate that, then the better.
Yeah, and celebrity to me, that's another thing. I don't. That's just like I'm not so, I guess like interested in how the movie looks. I don't mean I don't care about it.
Yeah,
but, the story is most important to me. And the same thing, like I don't care who's in it that much. I really don't.
If you're a good actor, you're a good actor.
And
that's what it is.
And the story.
Yeah.
If it's a story that I want to watch.
Yeah, because you can even have not great actors and an amazing story, and you'll still watch it.
Yeah.
At least I will.
Yeah.
Who would you say your favorite filmmaker is?
I guess I would have to say Spielberg.
Spielberg?
Because he's such a story person.
Did you see that new movie he's doing right now? I think it's Spielberg. Maybe it's not. I'm thinking of the guy who did Peter Jackson. I just saw a trailer for like another thing that he's doing, like a blockbuster type of thing. Okay. But there was a movie I think Spielberg recently signed on to do that wasn't in his real
The
house.
Color Purple musical. He did The Color Purple, but now he's doing The Color Purple musical.
Really?
Which they did a musical on Broadway. Now he's making a film version of the musical.
Just looking them up real quick. I want to see what the movie is I'm thinking of here. Because I definitely remember seeing something. I'm like, why is Spielberg the guy? Not that it was something. Oh, they're doing this is a producer. Well, I guess they're doing Gremlins 3.
Yeah.
Let's see, director 58. Another Indiana Jones. Wow.
Oh,
West Side Story. Yeah. That's what it was.
I saw. Yep. That's another one of my favorites. And he's doing that. That's going to be like incredible. And
Yeah.
It's West Side Story, Romeo and Juliet. These sort of Grease. Again, Dirty Dancing. It's this sort of either like love story, different side, and you know what's going to happen.
Yeah,
but you're along for the ride.
And it's a good story though. Yeah. It's like the way that it happens. It's not just generic guy, generic girl, or whatever. It's not that. There's and I think there's a reason why I have my feelings about reboots and
for sure.
But I think when the story is right and you're able to, in the right hands, innovative, I think there's a reason why A Star Is Born was so successful. Yeah. There's the story is obviously, and that's the thing too. People complain about, I don't complain about them for this reason, but people complain like, why can't they just watch the original? You try and get a kid to pop in a cassette player and watch something that is this grainy thing now that Fortnite exists.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know how hard that is? Like, let's not be elitists here and try and just preach on things.
Exactly. And there's like a kid, and that's the reason why like the kind of movie that I want to make narratively now. Love in Brooklyn is hopefully the next film that'll go off the ground. Narrative project, a teen romance dance movie. Very much in line with your Dancing Grease, that kind of West Side Story, all that kind of stuff. And it's musical based, it's light, it's romantic, it's fun. It's the characters are the kind of characters that, for young people, my target audience being like maybe girls from like, people are more mature today, but maybe from 10 to 20.
Sure.
Isn't
that crazy that the 10 now is what like used to be
like 15.
15 back then? It's crazy.
So
technology.
Yeah. But like my point, like getting to what you were saying about like getting kids to watch, they say, oh, well, we've seen movies like that. No, you've seen it. You're 40 years old. This 12-year-old girl doesn't want to watch Patrick Swayze.
Yeah.
And Jennifer Grey, or even John Travolta.
Yeah.
They want to watch the teen boy that they see on the TV show they like.
Exactly. Yep.
In this kind of movie.
Yep.
That they can enjoy in that way and hope that they get to meet that person.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I think it's it's like this elitist mentality that people have, this vintage, everything's got to be retro and old school, and that like it's an entitled feeling that don't touch this, all that stuff. It's you can say that so easily because it's not you who's consuming this media.
Right.
That's why I saw people were mad about I mean, no one sits here up in arms complaining about the 8,000 Spider-Mans that are made.
Right.
Right? Like,
yeah.
You go tell a kid to watch the Adam West Batman and see what happens. You know?
Exactly. Yeah.
So it's generational. You have to be able to be innovative. Whatever. So if someone's gonna sit here and huff puff about that, but Spielberg, I would say he's up there for me. I think my favorite filmmaker is Terrence Malick.
Why?
He did The Tree of Life, and I believe he did Mud as well. Just really good stories, just again, like, obviously there's McConaughey is in that, but and Reese Witherspoon, but still, the kids.
The kid in that, the boy
now
in that.
He's Ready Player One.
Now.
Yeah,
what is he in?
Ready Player One. He's in the X-Men franchises.
Okay, yeah.
He's doing everything, and he was great in that movie. Two kids.
I guess you like more. I guess the story with movies like that, it's I don't want to say slower paced, but they are slower paced.
Yeah.
A little deeper. They're not structurally mainstream.
Yeah, I like something that's gonna fuck you up in the head. Kind of like my favorite movies, I would say, are Blue Valentine, Little Miss Sunshine, What's Eating Gilbert Grape.
That I loved. What's Eating Gilbert Grape was great. That was great. Yeah.
And that's probably more resonant to you, I would say, if you're suburbia than it was to me in my suburbia.
Right. Gilbert Grape, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that.
I would say, yeah.
And I like Johnny Depp stuff.
Yeah?
Johnny Depp, Winona Ryder.
Yeah. She, I don't, you've watched Stranger Things, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy how that role is just, I think it's her now at this point. She's really just inhabited this woman who's... Yeah,
I think that was such a brilliant idea to do Stranger Things, because it's like, for people at my age, it's like, I turned it on to watch because of the nostalgia of Winona Ryder. What's the guy that played her like new boyfriend? He gets killed off.
Oh, Sean Astin.
Yeah.
Spoiler.
What's that?
Spoiler.
And just all the references they make to all this like 80s kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That's what made me gravitate toward it. But then I watched, and I loved watching the show, and I stuck with it.
Yeah.
And I think for the younger people, they're watching these young kids.
Yeah.
So they're getting this audience from such different age groups, just because of the nostalgia.
Yeah. It's a brilliant way to introduce people to that stuff too. Yeah,
for sure.
I thought I really liked it. I thought season 2 was lackluster in comparison to season 1, but I'm a fan of it enough to stick through. It was one of those shows that was just so hyped up for me that the hype, I was like, I feel like I don't have a choice but to go and watch this. Okay. I'm kind of like, and I liked it. I really did like it. It's not like it's not Breaking Bad for me.
Right.
But it's up there for me.
Yeah. You'll see what season 3 brings.
Yeah, we will see. We will see. Do you have what is your favorite food now? Well, let's say.
Favorite food. I don't know. It's hard to say. I like anything. So I'm not a picky eater.
Yeah.
So I love Italian. I love sushi. I love Chinese, Japanese, Thai.
You're on death row. You've got one meal. What's it going to be?
Okay. Honestly, it's not very vegan at all.
Huh?
I would say mac and cheese.
Mac and cheese. Have you tried a good vegan mac and cheese before?
I've tried good ones. Nothing amazing.
Yeah.
I got the ones from what are those kind of takeout vegan places that we've gone to?
Blossom.
Yeah, Blossom and Chloe. Is it?
Chloe by Chloe. Yeah.
Yeah. They both make different mac and cheese, and I forget which one I like better, but neither of them were like, oh.
Yeah. I'm gonna make one for you that's like delicious.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing, you have to manage with the cheese. See, that's the thing. It's for vegans, people. It's a trap because you can say, oh, you can have vegan cheese, but it's so high in calorie if you're doing it to taste really, really good. You can sprinkle a little nutritional yeast on anything, and it's like, yeah, I can see the cheese resemblance. But if you want that deep creamy cheese flavor, you gotta like. I have what I do is I use a bit of a cashew based. I use a little bit of nutritional yeast, and then I melt the Follow Your Heart vegan cheese brand, and I put so it's literally 3 cheeses.
Okay.
And then you're like, wow, that's good. But you don't want to eat that. You can't eat that every day.
Right.
Not that you should eat mac and cheese regardless.
No, exactly. But as a meal on death row, who cares about the fat?
Yeah, you're going anyway. You have your dogs. What are their diets?
What are they? What diets?
Their diets, yeah.
Well, my Chihuahua has pancreatitis, so she can only eat food that has like very, very minimal fat.
Yeah.
So she has a prescription diet. And my other dog, he just eats core, whatever the cans. I don't know.
The cans,
yeah.
Was that when you were going vegan? Did that influence you in any way? Did you start thinking about that?
About what they should eat?
Yeah.
No, honestly, no.
I think it's because it's an interesting conversation. I bring it up because dogs can be vegan. That's where you'll kill them.
Cats can't, right?
Yeah, you'll kill them.
Dogs can?
Yeah, they can exist on a vegan diet. They're a true omnivore, I believe is the correct. They're not herbivores. They're true omnivores, so they can exist on just a plant-based diet.
Okay.
Yeah, and thrive they're more than healthy.
Huh.
Here's a random question that I'm curious. You think right now Trump is better for us in the long run or worse for us that we've had him?
If he gets voted out in 2020, I think there could be some benefits to having had him.
Yeah.
And by that I mean to see how bad things can get, how far things can go in a direction that I personally don't want to see the world go in.
Yeah.
If he gets another 4 years, I feel like after that, I feel like there could be a lot of damage.
Yeah.
Too much damage done by that point where he's had 8 years. I don't think he can get that much more done in the next 2 years that it would really affect us long term.
Yeah.
Especially now that the House has flipped and, we're going to be stopping a lot of things that might have happened.
Yeah.
But I feel like the good thing that could come out of it again is if we see this resurgence of people coming out. I feel like that might have been the last rise of the horror of humanity that still exists in America. The last final rise before it just plummets, hopefully.
Yeah.
And to never show its head again.
Yeah. I think what better way to get rid of a bunch of rodents than to fumigate the place and bring them all to the surface, right? That's so I was
Look,
curious.
you reveal it, and then no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's what do you think about Hillary running again? Do you think that's a smart idea?
I am a little nervous about it, not because I wouldn't want her to be president, because I feel like there's just so much nonsense about her that I don't know that she would win, and that scares me. Yeah. Not winning scares me. Yeah. More than we
need someone who doesn't have the controversy around them in any capacity to just we need this. We need someone to take away what he has. Yeah. I think this is the
Elizabeth
thing.
Warren would work for me, and I feel like it was smart of her to sort of bring that Pocahontas thing back up just to get it over with. Yeah. So that and I feel like she is going to run, and I think that's why she did that.
But I heard the conclusion, and I'm just going to say this because one way or another, I heard the conclusion was that she's not Native American at all.
She is, but it's just very minimal.
Okay.
Like it's like,
1 millionth or whatever it is.
Not more than that. Yeah. But it's not like she's half quarter even. Maybe, I don't know, maybe like 1/10%. Yeah.
Okay. I didn't do
American Indian?
after Bernie Sanders lost, my the fight was stolen from me out of my body for politics, but I'm still actively, just not with the nonsense.
Well, let me ask you, as a Bernie Sanders supporter, did you vote for Hillary anyway?
I did not vote for Hillary.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, in New York.
And I didn't vote for Trump.
No, I know that.
Yeah.
But being in New York, like, that doesn't make me as angry as if we were in a state that, because New York is going to always win, liberal, Democrat. And so you could vote your conscience here.
Yeah.
But
if you're in a state where it's like your vote actually matters, then you have a different. And I think that's a problem with obviously our voting system.
Yeah.
Where you're like, I mean, obviously the party system first and foremost is our problem. Mm-hmm. We need to stop this two-party shit. Yeah. That it just creates such a
just vote for the person.
Yeah, vote for the person. It creates. You can buy yourself an election, and if you can't afford it, then I think there's a lot of problems that are easily solvable, and that you can then work on the other problems if you do that. And I think the party system is one of them.
But I think like people like, and it was a lot of people your age I found.
But I'm not like, so if Bernie Sanders ran in 2020, I don't think I'd vote for him. I'm not like, I wasn't clouded by the, that movement. Mm-hmm. For me, it was that because it's hold for sound. Hold for sound is a term when there's something noisy going on in the background. I don't really notice that much in here because you just get kind of accustomed to New York, but that sound, siren, just the beautiful sounds of New York singing to you, it caught my ear. I get so aggravated when I hear that, and I know at the end of the other side of that is someone in a lot of trouble.
True.
Which is, it's really messed up.
That's true.
It's like, would you shut up?
Like, really?
Go die on your own time.
You had to have a heart attack right now.
I know.
Or we're about to get the shot.
Yeah. But I wasn't persuaded in that way by the Bernie Sanders movement. It was like that was the best thing available for me. I would hope that there would be somebody who took the good ideals from him and was able to weed out any of the negativity that might have surrounded him and just be a true progressive and kind of forefront that movement. That's what I would hope.
Yeah. And, well, I agree. But I felt like if I honestly thought he had a chance of winning, I would have supported him. I would have supported everything that he stands for. Like, being a democratic socialist, I don't feel that we as a country are ready. Not that we're not ready. I think we are. There's not enough people. There's not enough.
Sure,
of us.
The world is not ready for that kind of radical change. Yeah.
But someone like Hillary would have. She's not perfect by any means.
Yeah.
She's got her hands in this and that, whatever.
Yep.
But socially, at least, she would have moved us a notch closer to a Bernie Sanders.
Yeah.
And then the next person after her maybe a notch closer. Like, I don't think, we would not have voted for Bernie Sanders.
Yeah.
But that's what annoyed me about, like, the people that
didn't
were all
vote for Hillary. Yeah.
gung-ho for, they would rather vote for Bernie Sanders, kill the chance for us to get a Democrat in by voting for someone who doesn't really have a chance.
Yeah.
What angered me.
I voted Green Party. It was what's her name? Jill Stein.
Okay.
That's what I voted for. And if I was in another state, I would have made another choice.
Right.
I could have voted for Harrison Ford here in New York, and it wouldn't have mattered.
It wouldn't have mattered.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But to that point, I think you're absolutely right. To play devil's advocate, just for the fun of it, I think a lot of people think that if Hillary got the people who didn't have that mentality, they think that Hillary would have put us. I think no matter what, it wouldn't have set us backwards in terms of progression. I think progressiveness would have moved forward, but I think that the weirdness of her corporate ties would have manipulated things that no one would have known about. That it would have been there, maybe damage under the surface that nobody would even know in our next 20 years. Who knows?
Well, yeah, but that's speculative. We don't know.
We don't. And I do think though, and I'm hoping Trump does not win again, and that this was actually the right move for. That's why I asked the question. I think that him coming to the surface, the darkness revealing itself, I think should only lead to better candidates moving forward.
Right.
That can happen.
Exactly.
Hey,
Right.
this
Let's
is the
never
world
get
we live
there
in.
again.
Yeah.
Right.
So I hope that's the outcome of this. Dave's Killer Bread. If you haven't had this bread, super low in calorie. You can get thin sliced. They have this one's got 340 milligrams of omega-3s, 3 grams of fiber, 3 grams of protein, a bunch of other great stuff in here too. There's there's thiamine, calcium, iron,
I'll take a
zinc.
slice of that right now. Someone else just told me about this for the first time this week.
They're good. And it's got I think this one in particular is the good seed. So it's got all of the flax seeds, sunflower seeds, sesame seeds. Really recommend this brand of bread, and it's organic. But the avocado toast on this is so good. You know where? So we talked about this, but your favorite restaurant closed, Union Square, where
Coffee shop.
I would get avocado toast from there all the time.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Yeah, that was like a staple in New York. I was so disappointed.
And quickly, because I wanted to include this, and this actually brought me back, I do a quick vegan news thing. You ever hear the company Quorn, Quorn? They make vegetarian, vegan things. Someone sent a drunk letter to them asking them to make the dinosaur chicken nuggets in vegan form, because that was something they had nostalgia for, and they just don't exist in the vegan community, vegan industry yet. So they actually responded back and were like, that's a really good idea. We're gonna make vegan dinosaurs. Did you ever have those growing up, the TV dinner dinosaur nuggets things?
And not dinosaurs, but
shaped of different things.
Yes. Wow, that's cool.
So I thought that was pretty funny. This is something I saw for Long Island. Did you ever go to this restaurant, Three Brothers Italian Kitchen in Albertston? That's Long Island, right?
That's Long Island, but it's Nassau County.
Oh, so that's the other side of the road for you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You don't venture that far?
No.
Oh, well, apparently it's a chain.
But it closed?
Yeah, it was opened on Willis Avenue in Albertston in April as a joint venture between Albin Estafa, or these are the people, and had 45 seats. It was dual vegan and non-vegan menus, did vegan pizza, and they closed. And I thought it was interesting. I wanted to... vegans still have a few local spots about a mile away on Hillside Avenue. Does that place ring a bell to you at all?
Yeah.
Williston Park, Sweet Lick Vegan Bakery. Sweet Lick, I don't know if you've heard of these places.
Yeah, I feel like I'm not surprised that it closed, because I feel like vegan on Long Island
is so contradictory.
Not so contradictory, but I think people. I grew up on Long Island, so I can I'm not crapping on Long Islanders, but
Strong Island.
Yeah. They're not as progressive.
Sure.
They're not as open-minded. So I don't see vegan restaurants doing great there yet.
Yeah, not yet. That's
Maybe down the road.
It's where I grew up. And there's one restaurant in Hazlitt, and then I noticed, you ever have the restaurant or the food Stewart's, root beer, the place they have the restaurant. There's a lot of Jersey chains, I think. Well, they make, it's the Stewart's brand of root beer. They have a restaurant, and there's I want to try it in Hazlitt. So if anyone from Hazlitt's watching this, Stewart's on Highway 36 has a vegan menu, and it looks really good. Everything's with diet cheese or whatever, so they're taking products and making it's not like homemade stuff, but still, this is a restaurant that's known for making the fat sandwiches that were very popular in Rutgers. The fat Danny, where it's just everything slathered on a hoagie or a sub. That's a whole Jersey thing. Hoagie, sub, footlong, whatever you call it. I just call them subs. But yeah, so they make vegan versions of that, which I thought was pretty cool.
It's coming slowly,
I think in time, it's progress. Everything steps in the right directions.
Yeah.
And then lastly, Penn and Teller, Penn Jillette, he has a book, but he said that he is vegan for the animals now. That was a new kind of thing. So I guess he was vegan for health before, which a lot of people are.
Right.
Because he's been vegan for a few years. Are you familiar with the Hold for Sound? See, that guy, that to me.
Yeah, what is that?
That's just I hate you, screw you guys, I hate you. It's just annoying.
Yeah, it's not a regular sign.
Whatever. At any rate, so Penn and Teller, he made the book, and I just started reading the foreword of it. It's called Presto: How I Made Over 100 Pounds Disappear. This is a book Penn Gillette made. It was actually the book that influenced Kevin Smith to go vegan. So
Wow.
he did a podcast with Joe Rogan, which I've talked about on this podcast before, which is really informative. And you see these people like transform their entire bodies, and that's doing veganism the right way.
Yeah.
Raw, no processed foods.
Right. Wow.
But his book so far has been really interesting if you're considering a veganism thing, because he uses his life of magic and his career and ties it in with how he cares about his body and his health.
Yeah, I'll check that out. I mean, and that's an example of another progressive person.
Yeah.
Now it makes sense to me, him gravitating toward veganism.
Yeah.
He's atheist too. I read his book.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it talks about similar to this, but how he became atheist.
Really?
Yeah. And I'm
gonna read this.
So I was interested in that.
Yeah, I'm atheist, I guess too.
Yeah.
I'm agnostic, I guess is really the proper term. I honestly just don't really care. I believe the universe exists.
Right.
When my time comes, if it's a blackout, that's what it is.
You're not gonna know.
Yeah, so it doesn't matter to me. But if someone said to me the universe has a thing and you become a stardust, whatever. All right, I'll buy it. Whatever.
Yeah.
I mean,
we don't know.
Yeah. So
that's a whole other.
That's a whole
hour
of conversation.
Yeah, I find that conversation really interesting.
So
that
do
kind
I.
of stuff.
For another, we'll have you. This is the thing. We'll have to have you come back and see where your lifestyle journey is taking you.
Yeah.
If veganism's become more accessible down the road.
But I'd like to read this because he's obviously he's a comedian too.
Yeah, it's funny.
It's funny to read.
I'll give you this whole first section. He talks about his that's the second section. So I was reading the first section. The introduction is called "How Are You Going to Die?" and they talk about the signed bullet thing that the Penn and Teller do, where they do a loaded gun and they go to shoot the other person, I guess. And a lot of people have died doing this trick, but they do it every show. And the whole thing is like, how is he going to die? And I'll read the last paragraph because I thought it was funny. I didn't lose the weight in order to write a book. I didn't train myself to eat healthy in order to share my techniques with the world. I didn't do it because the trips to the hospital scared me skinny. I did it because I wanted to give myself a few more chances to die from the bullet catch. So it's just a fun way of how he incorporates veganism into, or how he changed his lifestyle and his diet into his life of being a magician and stuff. So I'm excited to finish reading it. I've only read the first.
The title of that chapter.
Yeah.
Just another fat fuck.
Or that's the next chapter. Yeah, just another fat fuck. So it's fun. One third the size of a cow dressed as an elephant. So yeah, check that out. And yeah, that's it. So Guy, seriously, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Yeah, it was fun. That was really fun.
Yeah, this is just like it's an opportunity for, I've been saying this, for me to like just get to know people who I thought I've known even better and just talk about stuff. It's an excuse to have conversations, have fun. And if you guys haven't done it yet for some reason, if you haven't done it listening to this, Emmy and the Breakfast Club, Madonna and the Breakfast Club, formerly known as Emmy and the Breakfast, it's like part of my vernacular now.
I know. Yeah.
Madonna and the Breakfast Club on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, I think is where we have the most traction here, where we're doing the most of our social media. And then on YouTube, you can watch the trailer. I'll link it in the YouTube description and in the podcast descriptions. Go to our website, StokedOnPlants.com, sign up for there. Like I mentioned, the next few weeks, we got some really cool guests coming on, so stay tuned for that. Guy, thank you so much, man. I love you.
Sure.
Thank you for coming on.
Awesome.